I didn't have Christian influence growing up. I grew up in an alcohol-centered home where I was sexually abused by my uncle. Soon after that, 3 members of my family passed away within a year, one of which included my dad. Because of that, my life led into darkness and I became very unhappy. And the summer before my freshman year, I decided to go to beach retreat. And that Wednesday night at beach retreat, I felt God calling me, and I felt this love in my heart and his presence and him telling me to accept him into my life. And soon after that, I responded to what he was telling me, and I decided to get baptized that night. And that second I came up out of the water, I had this huge smile on my face, and I was so happy. And since then, I have been living for the Lord, and I'm growing in my relationship with Christ every day. And it's so amazing because I'm truly the happiest that I've ever been, and I've gained this wonderful family here at Second.
This is my first time going to beach retreat, and so far I've heard that people have told me that it's like their best time in their lives. The great times that they've had and the night services and their times with God that they've spent. And it's getting me excited and looking forward to hanging out on the beach and with friends, and I'm looking forward to spending just a whole week with God and feeling His presence.
About 4 years ago, I was invited to beach retreat when I was a freshman, and I really didn't know anything about beach retreat at all, but some girls at school invited me. So when I went, I really didn't know what to expect. I think I was pretty overwhelmed when I went. It was really cool. What was explained to me was a week on the beach. I mean, I couldn't pass that up. So when I went, I didn't expect it to be, I guess, that cool and that fun, because it was really fun. But going there, I really didn't have a strong relationship with Christ. I actually didn't know Christ at all, really. And so when I got there, I started to meet a lot of new people and got comfortable, and we would go to worship at night, and that was probably the best part of beach retreat, in my opinion. The worship is really, really cool. I feel so free when I worship. I think I get in my own zone, even though there's thousands of people around me, or I don't know. I think that's my place. That's where I learned to really have a relationship with Christ. That's where I felt Him the most, was in worship. And going to beach retreat, I think if I wouldn't have gone to beach retreat, I wouldn't know how to keep my relationship with Christ intact and keep it strong, because I really learned how to worship Him and how to talk to Him.
I came to beach retreat last year not knowing what to expect. It was something I had been looking forward to, but I was mostly excited to be on the beach and hang out with my friends. Once we got there, we went straight to worship, and I had so much fun, and it was much better than I expected. The first night was just the beginning for me and so many others. Later on into the week, silent sounds became my favorite part because I had never been able to do something like that at home. It helped me get closer with the Lord and grow my faith. So on Wednesday night, I decided to rededicate my life to Christ and let go of everything and give it all to Him. All my doubts and worries were gone, and I know that He will always be there with me. When I got baptized, it felt amazing to know that I'm never alone, and I'll always be a sinner, and things don't go the way I want them to, but I know that His love never fails, and Beach Retreat 2011 was a life-changing experience and has led to so many great opportunities I will never forget.
Last year was my first year actually going to Beach Retreat, so I didn't really know what to expect. Everyone just kept talking about it, so I decided to go. It was really, really amazing to see how God worked through all of our pastors and through silent sounds and just through the atmosphere of the retreat. On Thursday night, I felt that Dr. Young's message was really just God's way of getting to me through Dr. Young. at the time I was kind of steering off my spiritual path and getting into things I shouldn't have. And the message really woke me up and turned me around to a point where I was sitting in my seat and I just started crying because I knew that I wasn't alone in this and that God was there to help me. And if I hadn't heard that message, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am in my spiritual walk with God, and I'd probably be walking in the opposite direction.
I've been to Beach Retreat twice, and the first time I went, I got this great godly feeling, and I just felt so uplifted. But in between the 2 years of Beach Retreat, I didn't live life for God. The second time around at Beach Retreat, God put on my heart that I hadn't pursued a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and that I needed one. And so I went and I got baptized, and whenever I was going home, I had faith that I could live the Christian life and that I didn't have to worry because I had God and I had Jesus. And ever since I've been baptized, since last summer, I feel like I have grown in my faith and I have taken a year's worth of steps in my Christian walk.
I grew up in a family where everybody did love each other. Like, my parents loved each other. I had a cute little brother. I had basically everything in line. And one day, I remember my dad left literally from one day to the next. It was on November 18th. And it's a day that I'll never forget because at that time it was like my world being just torn from underneath me, and my grades started going down. I started arguing with my mom, started getting involved with horrible influences. Years later, my mom forced me to go to Beach Retreat because she'd heard about it in worship. And I remember being so mad that she was forcing me to go to this thing that I didn't want to. But when I got there, I can honestly say that I met friends and amazing people that inspire me even till today, and just teach me that I'm not the only one dealing with regular people things, and that imperfection and sin is something that we all go through. And the community, with everybody just thirsting for God and wanting more of Him, is just absolutely beautiful and so, so powerful and so profound. Beach Retreat taught me that I didn't exactly need a biological father to feel loved. I had a figure in my life, a man that loved me and would always love me and would never ever leave or disappoint me, and it would just be eternal and forever and ever.
Beach Retreat has helped me grow closer to God. I grew up in the church. My parents are great influences. I know many Bible stories and have memorized many Bible verses. But even though I knew all this stuff, I wasn't putting it into practice. I was going through the motions, get up, go to church, go home, do it again next Sunday. At first I thought Beach Retreat was just going and having fun with my friends, but then I realized it was more than that. On that first night of worship, with those 1,000 other students, and yet still feeling so close to God, it was amazing. Silent Sounds is another time when I felt so close to God. I felt He was sitting there with me on my beach towel, helping me learn about Him. Beach Retreat was so fun last year, and I'm really excited to go again this year.
When I was little, I was abused, and the abuse knocked me down each and every time, and sometimes it still does. But the Lord last year, he really did call me to go to Beach Retreat, and I was so nervous, but He changed me like He wanted to, and He knew that He had to change some things in my life. When I was at Beach Retreat last year, God had taught me that the abuse should not let it knock me down, and that I could enjoy just being myself and who I'm surrounded with. He really did speak to me last year, and it was amazing to see how many other lives that He changed, and it wasn't just mine. This past year, I had a friend, Lizzie, who had died, and it hurt a lot, and also I was having problems with friends and family and health conditions, but God had told me to just pray to Him, and I just thought of Beach Retreat and how amazing it was and how life-changing it was, and I just thought of that, and it made everything better just to pray and know that God is there for me.
My favorite part of Beach Retreat is the service. Last year, I remember walking into the worship center and seeing people's hands in the air and just worshiping God, and I was thinking, I don't think that's what I'm going to be doing. Like, I don't think I have that good of a connection with God. But by the end of the service, my hands were in the air with everyone else's, and it felt right, like that I was supposed to be there and standing there with all my friends worshiping God the way I was. The songs were just, they were perfect. Like, I feel like they were like written for us to feel moved. I remember going home and just whenever I thought about how much fun I had at Beach Retreat, I thought about worship and all the songs, and that I just felt connected with God, and that I always thought about how good I had of a relationship I felt I had with God at Beach Retreat at the service. And the words of the song always stuck with me, and I couldn't forget that I felt like I had a great relationship with